very happy to be here today. So, all of you are the aspiring disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Can I just have everyone introduce themselves by calling out their names and from where in Bangalore they are from? I know most of them, but just begin here. I've met all of you, but where in Bangalore, if you can tell? Okay, thank you. Yeah, with Mike, thank you. Okay. 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 Thank you. Yeah, fine. Fine. Sure. Yes. From Chanting. Hare Krishna. Okay, so let us begin. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Parasharadya Deshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki. So today's session is on quality chanting and hearing. Shravanam and Kirtanam. Prabhupada in one place mentions these are the two pillars of our devotional service on which we are building a house of bhakti. If a house of bhakti has to be built, or any house has to be built which has two pillars, both the pillars should be very strong. Even if one pillar is even slightly weak, the house will fall apart. So these two strong pillars of bhakti in our life of Krishna, house of Krishna consciousness, are Shravanam and Kirtanam. That is why in the Navavidha Bhakti, the first two are Shravanam and Kirtanam. And if you look at Prabhupada's teachings, the maximum time that he would have spoken on any topic is Shravanam and Kirtanam. In the Bhagavad Gita, today we are going to specifically focus on quality chanting specifically, and of course quality hearing. In Bhagavad Gita, there is one shloka where Krishna very nicely brings out this specific aspect of the quality of chanting. He says, Satatam kirtayanto mam Yatantascha dridha vrataha. How we must chant. He says, four things he says. First is, chanting is not restricted to 16 rounds. Of course, if we can do our 16 rounds, it's more than enough because that is the initial prescription by Srila Prabhupada. But Krishna's prescription is Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. In one letter to his disciple, Srila Prabhupada says, why only 16 rounds? Chanting must continue. It should not stop. Krishna is also saying Satatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Kirtaniya Sada Harihi. So like this, many places it is said it should be done. But now the point is, what kind of chanting should be done? Yatantasya Dridha Vrataha. If you say I've taken a vrat means a vow. We cannot be, vrat vow means something very serious. So, and what kind of a vow? Dridha Vrataha. Dridha Vrata means a very strong, determined vow we have taken to chant 16 rounds. And we have to be endeavoring after this strong vow. Yatantascha Dridha Vrata. 3 words. Yatan means, see, one thing is I'm doing my chanting. I'm chanting my rounds. And another thing is I'm putting it endeavor. I'm putting in endeavor. Endeavor is a higher word than just doing something and endeavoring something. There's a difference between them. So yatantasya and dridha vrata, endeavoring with a strong determination. See the emphasis that Krishna is placing on chanting. So we should be fully convinced why we will do chanting like this when we are convinced about the wonderful qualities of chanting. What the chanting can do and what is chanting. Chanting is not just some ordinary sound vibration. It is directly Hari. What is the difference between chanting the holy name of Krishna and Krishna himself? What is the difference? Krishna, 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 Krishna chanting and Krishna personality standing here. What is the difference between them? There is no difference. So in the Padma Purana, which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quotes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, is a nice verse which talks about 8 characteristics or 8 qualities of the holy name. You all must be familiar with this verse. Nama Chintamani Krishnas. The first quality of Nama is, it is like a touchstone. Touchstone means it can fulfill all your desires. Actually, what is one unique trait of a conditioned soul? One unique trait of a conditioned soul is always hankering and lamenting. Hankering after something, lamenting after something or something that he has lost. So if you get the Nama, suppose you get a touchstone from a materialistic perspective. If he gets a touchstone, will he lament for anything in his life? Because touchstone is a wish fulfilling touchstone. You touch it to anything, it will convert to gold. Materialistic life means wanting money, wanting wealth, because with gold you can get anything. So Nama is that spiritual touchstone for us. We must remember that. So first characteristic, Nama, is that so we need not hanker after anything. We just have to hanker after this holy name because it is Chintamani. Krishna's Chaitanya. Chaitanya it's full of life. It is full of life force. It is not something dry. Like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. What is the meaning of Sukham? We will experience Sukha. What kind of Sukha? Little bit, this much, Akshaya. Our Akshaya Patra is there, unlimited food, and there's unlimited holy name. Sukham Akshaya. Unlimited happiness, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Sukham Akshaya. And Ashnute. Ashnute means you can actually experience this unlimited happiness. It is not some dry philosophy, just a philosophical statement. No, it is Sukham Akshayam. And Ashnute means you can actually experience it. So Nama is Chintamani, Chaitanya, and it is Rasa Vigraha. It is explaining further. Rasa means it is so mellow. It is such a nice mellow. Everyone in this material world, whether a materialist or a spiritualist, is hankering after taste. We all want taste in life, whether material taste, because we do not have a spiritual taste. We don't even know what a spiritual taste is. So we are all hankering after material taste. What are the material taste? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. These are all sum and substance of material taste. But this taste of the holy name, it is, it is, it is, you cannot compare with even a drop of water. It's like, the example is given, it's like an ocean versus a drop. The best of the eating, sleeping, mating, defending, which we are all hankering after, which also people do not have in today's Kali Yuga. They just have a hope of it, or just a faint glow of that drop. This is like an ocean. This is the rasa. And the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were floating in an ocean of love of Godhead. Prema. So, Chintamani, it is touchstone. Chaitanya, it is full of life. Rasa, it is so tasty, so such a nice mellow, sweet mellow. Rasa Vigraha. Rasa Vigraha can be taken as 2 or 1. Rasa Vigraha means, so this chanting is like a whole personality. It's a personality of taste. It's a personality of mellow. It's like if you associate with someone, if I associate with you, I get some pleasure when I associate with someone, right? So this is also like a Vigraha. It is full of taste. And next is, so Rasa Vigraha. Then next is Purna. Purna means it is complete in itself. There is nothing more you need if you have the holy name. I want a little of this, I want a little of that, and I will also want chanting. No, our faith should be, if I have chanting, if I have perfected myself in the art of chanting, it is complete by itself. It's a complete product. It's a complete spiritual substance. Like if I have this mobile, is it complete? I need a plug, I need a charger, I need internet connection, I need so many things. Just giving a raw example. The chanting is Purna. And then next is, 5th is Shuddha. It is completely pure. Right now, our hearts and minds are filled with all kinds of contamination. If you chant the holy name, this is completely pure. It will make you also completely pure. So, Purna, Shuddha, and Nitya. Nitya means it is eternal. Today I may get something which I may be very interested in. It will be very tasty. It will be very, nice. It may be, but will it last forever? See, these are all very selected qualities, from the Padma Purana. It is Nitya. This will last forever. It has been coming down for millions of ages, and this pure nectarian touchstone, it will last. The pleasure that you will derive from it is eternal. Nitya. And Mukto. Mukto means it can liberate you from anything and everything material. It can put you on the platform of the spiritual plane. So it is liberating. It will liberate you from everything of this material world. And it will help you to go back to the spiritual world. Nitya Mukta. And then the last one, that's the 7th. And the last one are Abhinatvan Nama Namina. There is absolutely no difference between Krishna and Krishna's holy name. Prabhupada many places uses the word, it is cent% same, not 1% difference. So actually, to be able to do, suppose I want to do something and I want to do it nicely, I should be convinced about the value of that thing, isn't it? If I'm not convinced about the value of that thing, I will not put heart in it. I want to do an engineering, or I want to do computer science, or I want to become a doctor. I should be liking that, right? or I should be convinced about the importance of that. In the same way, this shloka and many such things like this, it talks about the glorious position of the holy name. So when we read every day about chanting, then, so one, I always say this, and many devotees have actually practiced this, and it's a sure short formula to improve the quality of your chanting. It's a sure short formula. What is that formula? All of you read every day? Everyone reads. You read your books, whatever Prabhupada books and Bhagavad Gita, this, that. You must include one more thing in your reading if you're already not doing it. Some of you may be doing it. You must every day read specific portions that talk about the holy name. You know that book, Namamrita, which is sold in a Gita counter? Please have a personal copy every day before you sleep or any time of the day, especially in the second half of the day. You must read at least 10-15 minutes of some few quotes specifically about the chanting of the holy name. So every day when you read and when you specifically capture that this is such a nice thing about the holy name, and every day you're reading one quote about the holy name, every day you're reading one quote, two things will happen. One thing, you will gradually develop a faith and conviction because every day you're reading. Because every day you're doing something, you'll automatically develop a faith in the holy name. And the next thing that will happen, this will start happening as soon as you start reading, your daily morning chanting will improve. Because what will happen, these every day evening when you read these quotes, these thoughts will resonate in your mind. Oh, I read this yesterday about chanting. Then today you read, tomorrow you will chant, oh, I read this yesterday. So please add this in your schedule and you will see how wonderfully your chanting will improve. I'll give you some example. Like in one of the quotes, Prabhupada says, what the chanting can do. Chanting the holy name can completely cleanse the core of the heart and save you from the cycle of birth and death. See, there are, and you know, when you read a quote, actually just 5 minutes reading a specific quote on chanting is enough, not even 10 minutes. But that 5-minute reading should be a solid reading. We just don't read and move on. Read and meditate. Like in this, there are 5 important C's that you can meditate on. Chanting is the first C. What it can do? It can cleanse the heart. Cleansing the heart is not an easy thing. And not just heart, Prabhupada writes, it can cleanse the core of the heart. Difficult to reach, cleanse the core. And how much? Completely cleanse the core of the heart. So it's something very, very, enlivening. So 3 C's, completely cleanse the core. It's not so easy to clean your heart. Very difficult to completely cleanse the core of the heart. And further save you from the cycle, the 4th C, cycle of birth and death. That's what all we want. We want to get free from the cycle of birth and death. And how these things can be achieved? By the 5th C, chanting. So this one quote, actually it is such a powerful quote that if you meditate on this and think about this, you can for many days you can go on meditating on it. It will be such an inspiration for you to, oh, chanting can do such a thing. I must chant very nicely. And similarly, so quotes specifically about chanting, but of course, when you read the quotes on chanting, the hearing will automatically get included because chanting comes by default with hearing in one place. Like to give you I'm giving you an example of how when you read a small quote, even a small, like some of us may not get every day 1 hour. If you find 1 hour reading, very good. But sometimes you may not get 1 hour. So even if you get a little time, that little time, do quality chanting and hearing. Of course, chanting is, you have to do your 16 rounds because all of you have going to take a vow. All of you are doing 16. But hearing specifically, Do solid here. Anything that you do solid. Anything that you do quality. We should not be doing second class devotional service. Our devotional service should be first class. Prabhupada always taught, did Prabhupada give us bhakti? Yes and no. If it is yes, yes. If it is no, then what did Prabhupada give us? If he did not give us bhakti, I'm just putting it in a different way, just to bring out a point. I will say Prabhupada did not just give us bhakti. What did he give us? What did Prabhupada give us? He gave us pure bhakti. He didn't give us just devotional service. He taught his disciples to do exactly pure devotional service. So we must always remember, like in one place, Prabhupada says, bhakti should be taken up constantly, should be practiced, not casually. So one thing is you practice Krishna consciousness casually, but another thing is you practice Krishna consciousness constantly. Casually means when you get free, sometimes like that, not like that. So this is the power of chanting. Abhinnatva Namanavina. Now, how many of you know the Shikshashtaka by heart? So that is one thing we must all do. Because we are Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, we're coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left just 8 verses. That's all. So these 8 verses that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left, we must memorize them. You know, when we took to Krishna consciousness, the first thing that we were told to learn were these 8 verses. It's very important that we learn these verses and memorize them. And in this, one of the verses that we must remember, Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdeva Midrisham Ihachani Nanuraga. This is a very nice prayer that we must offer every day to remind ourselves what is the power of holy name and what is my current state. In the outside world, they have this gap analysis, where we have to go and where we are now. It's very important. Even devotees should know where we are now. We should not be overconfident that, oh, I'm taking. Actually, initiation is just the beginning. We are just beginning a spiritual life in one sense. So if this is the beginning, what is the end? The end is we have to perfect ourselves in our devotional service, starting with the chanting. So this prayer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Namna Makari Bahuda Nijasar, you have given us so many names. And in every name, you have invested your full potency. Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti. This is your mercy. Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi. But this is my sorrowful state. Durdeva Midrisham Ihajani Nanuraga. I have no attachment for this holy name. So actually, if we want to come to the point of quality chanting, 2 important things we must remember. We must be fully convinced and inspired about what nectar and mellow this name is all about. It is non-different from Krishna. It is so wonderful. It is so nice. And the second thing that we must remember is where I am now. I have no taste for this holy name. Krishna. So we must pray to Prabhupada every day, like there's a prayer to the Guru. Ekaki amara nahi paya bala, harinama sankirtane. Alone, Srila Prabhupada, this is Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya. Alone, I have no quality, I have no ability, I have nothing in me, no qualification to chant the holy name. Tumi kripa kori, Shraddha bindu diya. If you have mercy on me, Tumi kripa kori Shraddha, just give me a drop of faith. Deho Krishna nama dhane. So ekaki amara nahi paya bala, Hari nama sankirtane. Tumi kripa kori, Shraddha bindu diya, Dehu Krishna nama dhani. This prayer is also very nice. So actually, quality chanting begins with these two things, inspired by what is the position of the holy name, and knowing your current position, and knowing these two, then doing something which is going to bridge that gap, means taking up quality chanting seriously. So what does it mean to do quality chanting? Let us have a one round. Each one of you say one thing. What, according to you, constitutes quality chanting? You can say only one thing, not two things. Yeah, one by one. So you can raise your hand. I want everyone to contribute. The points will repeat, so that's okay. Yes, Mataji? Hearing, very good. Listen carefully, very good. Only one point you should say. You should ideally give a one-word answer, or a small phrase or two-word answer. So we got one answer, hearing. Yes. Chanting loudly, very good. Bring attention back, very good. Yes. Focus on Krishna. Okay. Huh? Continuously. Okay. Yes, everyone, one word. Okay, you can think. Or one person only once. Concentrating. Very good. Commitment. Hear the same sound. Very good. When Nama Prabhu comes, we have to respect, right? Yes, Mataji. Sorry. Meditating on the holy name. Okay. Hear every name in the mantra. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. Anyone left here? You have anything to say? Okay. Concentration. Very good. Huh? Avoiding the offenses. Okay. Sorry? You have to have a goal. Okay. Yes. No thinking. Okay. Chanting soulfully. Okay. How can we miss that? With gratitude. Okay. 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 So all of you have said, all of you are right. So all what we have discussed now can be summarized in 3 words. There are 3 short words that summarizes quality chanting. We discovered 2 out of all what you said, but the third one, faintly it came up. So what are the 3 words that summarize chanting? The first word many things the summary of that is now. Prabhupada says in one place, he was saying something. The mind Prabhupada says, his eye chant love. His himself getting to that. So long chanting is very important. We must Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. If the sound goes up, we need to bring it up. Number one is loud chant. Number two, most of you all say here. And now to magnify here, I'll add another word attentively. Hear attentively. So now here attentively, because if you look, I'm generally very only mind is all in the universe. There's no point in loud sound. And you can hear only when it is loud. You cannot hear when it's not loud. Hearing means loud. Now the third word, we did not cover very prominently. This is the third word that comprises good chanting. One word line. It starts with the alphabet T. Concentration is not the key here. Here attention is concentration. You have to clearly pronounce. I mean, to make it more clearly pronounce. Prabhupada uses another terminology in most of his lectures. Distinctly pronounce. Distinctly pronounce. Loud. So see, so short. 4 letter loud. 5 letter clear. Here. MCH, we must remember. So if you are not chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, you will hear it. You will be chanting now. The hearing is not easy. So all three has to be happening together. This is the simple formula for good. So Prabhupada says, just here. Nothing. Hear the same sound. When he says just here, you can hear only when you are only chanting. You can hear only when it is clear. Telling that chanting process, we miss out one of these. We must remember loud, clear, and hear. And so now let us answer one question. I am somehow not being able to do this loud, clear, and hear. What will you do next? I'm not able to do loud, clear, and hear. What will I do next? Sorry, Mataji. Bhakti. Yes. Correct. I'm unable to do loud, clear, hear. What should I do next? Sorry? Endeavor to do what? Yes. So actually, if you are unable to do loud, clear, and hear, you have no other option but to continue endeavoring to do loud, clear, and hear. Prabhupada gave a very nice definition of the word yoga. I've said this many times in my sessions. What is the meaning of the word yoga? Linking. Yoga means to connect, linking, the standard definition. Now, the next question, suppose it comes, how do you link? Linking means to connect. How do you connect? By chanting. How do you chant? Next, again, one question. How do you chant? Now, what is the biggest enemy during chanting? Mind. Mind goes away. Mind means mind goes away. So what you should do when the mind goes away? Bring it back. You tried to bring it back. Again it went away. Again it went away. So Prabhupada says, yoga means, you're right. This should be the conviction and the determination. Prabhupada says, yoga means mind running away, you're bringing it back. Running away, bringing back, running away, bringing back. This is called yoga. It's a very profound, deep, practical, real definition of the word yoga. And this is how we must chant, which is the most uh, important work for you in your 24 hours. And the work where you have to put in a lot of endeavor, it is this chanting 16 rounds. The chanting 16 rounds should not be taken up as, okay, now I just need 2 hours, that's all I need. You don't just need 2 hours. You need your mind with you. You need all these, these formulas and these practices with you. So chanting 16 rounds is the most important activity in your day, in your daily life. As Prabhupada says, when you finish your 16 rounds, this is quality chanting, you should feel, oh, my 2 hours is over. I have to stop chanting. I don't wish to give up my chanting bag. That is quality. Once one devotee asked Prabhupada, how do I know what is quality chanting? Whether I've come to quality chanting? So Prabhupada says, quality, if you have come to it, you will come to know of it yourself. You don't have to ask anyone whether I'm chanting quality. You will know it yourself. And how do you know it yourself? Because when you finish 16 rounds, you'll not want to give it up. You'll think, why 16 rounds? Why not 16,000 rounds? And that's what and he gives the example of Rupa Goswami, that when he's chanting, he's feeling 1 tongue and 2 ears are insufficient. I wish I had millions of tongues and billions of ears. So just see, this is Rupa Goswami saying. Sanatan Goswami, his elder brother, is saying that there are 3 things he says. Bhushanam me, Naam is his Jivanam, his Bhushanam, Nama is his life and soul, Jivanam, and Bhushanam, it is his only wealth. Then one more thing he says. So this is the holy name. We should make chanting our life and soul. Ekam Jivanam, Bhushanam me, and something else he says. So this is chant. So, there is only one thing that should be bothering you every day, 24/7, and not allowing you to sleep. And that is chanting the holy name. Am I coming up to the level of perfection? Am I practicing chanting seriously the way Srila Prabhupada told me? So this chanting quality should become a botheration for you. It should be worrying you. My chanting is not happening properly. I'm simply completing my 16 rounds out of official duty. It should not be like this. You should be dissatisfied. Prabhupada in a very beautiful lecture, if you're conversant with Veda base, you should type this word dissatisfied or dissatisfaction. And there's a very beautiful lecture where Prabhupada is nicely, he's speaking about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dissatisfied. That I'm not practicing Krishna consciousness properly. After coming to the level of perfection, he's still dissatisfied. And then he gives a very nice reason why Mahaprabhu is saying dissatisfied. He's dissatisfied because he's feeling that he has no love for Krishna. Actually, he has love for Krishna. But he's saying, no, I have no love for Krishna. And he's dissatisfied because he's saying, if I had love for Krishna, I wouldn't be living without Krishna. I would have died long time ago. But the very fact that I'm living shows I have no love for Krishna. See, so the chanting can grant you that position. So I was talking of 3 things. Being enthused, always, what is chanting? It is a summum bonum. Just few days back I was reading, Prabhupada says, this should be your only objective in life. Only objective. Oh. You should make this your only objective. And so, read quotes of Prabhupada, these wonderful quotes. That Namamrita is an excellent book. And that book is like a sugar candy. You can read it from anywhere. It's not that you can read sequentially also. You can read it anywhere like that. And that is one. And acknowledge your current position, that I'm so fallen. I can't even chant the holy name of Lord with taste. I feel asleep. And, my mind is going here and there. So this is my position. And the third thing, constantly pray to Krishna, pray to Guru Krishna. I'm so fallen. I have no qualification. My only hope is you. Please help me to chant nicely. So, two important words to remember, which Prabhupada says this for the third thing, to develop that consciousness. And to pray and to develop the consciousness of how to pray. One thing is you can just pray in your heart. That's the best prayer. But another thing is, see how Prabhupada is telling us how to pray. So two wonderful words that Prabhupada uses, how we should, or rather three, I would say, we should feel helpless. And what kind of a helpless? Like a child feels helpless without his mother. A small baby, how he'll be helpless without the mother? And then what will his action be? He will cry for the mother. So we should ask ourselves, is my chanting a cry for the Supreme Lord? And what kind of a cry? So this is the word. Chanting should be like the genuine cry of the child for the mother. And another word, so first is helpless. This should be the position. Next is the genuine cry. And the third, very nicely says, how we should ask the holy name. We are asking the Lord, please give me the holy name. What kind of an ask it should be? He uses a special word. How we should ask. Suppose I am asking you something, Prabhuji. Please give me. Very good. Very good. Somebody said this just now. Begging. We should beg the holy name from the Lord. Begging means, it includes all these words. Begging defines everything. You're feeling helpless, you're feeling submissive, you are yearning, everything is included. So we should beg the holy name from the Lord. So that 2 hours of chanting, when we are hearing and we are trying to hear, these are the background, like Madhaprabhu talks about background consciousness. These are something that should become automatic. They should be coming automatic in the background. And this reading every day a Prabhupada quote is that cultivating your background consciousness. When you read every day one quote on chanting, the next day these things will be automatically coming in your mind. So begging the holy name. So Trinadapi Shunichena, Taroriva Saishnuna, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtaniya, Sadhane. And this is also very important. We know, I'm not getting into all the details because you know all these things. Trinadapi, Taroriva, Amanina, Manadena. Now, this is something very, very practical that we have to apply in our day-to-day devotional life, especially when we are dealing in a devotee community, especially with devotees. So what are the 2 words said? Amanina, Manadena. In the material world, it is opposite. They all want mana and they don't want to give mana to anybody. But in our case, it is reverse. I am not expecting respect from anyone. So this is very nicely. So Prabhupada says in one Bhagavad Gita, I think it's in the Bhagavad Gita, there is wonderful use of R's are there. So giving respect to others without requiring respect in return. That is how we must chant the holy name. So 4 important R's. Giving respect to others without requiring respect in return. So, sometimes these Prabhupada words, so that's how you should, hearing and reading is the same thing. You should capture these nice occurrences. See, it says now, just like we are able to remember proverbs and phrases. Why? Because they're very nicely coined and worded, that it sets in our mind. That's how the proverbs are. Like a pauper is proud of his penny. Prabhupada uses this proverb many times. He uses many proverbs of normal English language. So so chanting should be like this. So, this is something difficult to practice, but we must remember this practice. Somebody tells us something and then we get disturbed or we get upset. Or why did he say like this? Now, when somebody tells you something like this, you cannot tell him, Prabhu, you should be Amanina. No, Amanina is for you, not for him to follow. For you, it's Amanina, and for you, it's Manadena. So nobody can, you have to preach this to whom? You have to preach this to yourself. Not when something is happening, you preach it to others. You preach it to others by practicing it yourself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and many other acharyas, they sum up spiritual life in 2 words. What are those 2 words? That spiritual life is summed up. Name Ruchi, what you're talking about, developing a taste in the holy name. And the second phrase is Jive Doya. Unless we develop a compassionate look towards Jiva, we will not be able to develop. These 2 things go together. Name Ruchi, Jive Doya. We should be very, the qualities that Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita. The first quality, the 35 qualities Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita in the 12th chapter, starting from 13th verse. What is the 12th chapter, 13th verse? Anybody has a Bhagavad Gita here? Open 12, 13. 12, 13. Adveshta Sarva Bhutana. Adveshta. This is the first quality that Krishna lists in the 35 list qualities. Adveshta Sarva Bhutana means a kind friend to all living entities. And such a devotee, Krishna concludes, is dear to me. So if we want to improve our quality chanting and hearing, we have to be very mindful about how we behave, how we talk, how we interact with others. If we are constantly committing offenses with others, especially in a devotee community, actually it is not with just devotee community. Does Krishna says Adveshta Sarva Bhaktanam? Krishna says Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam. Bhutanam is all the human species? No. Bhutanam is 84 lakh species. You should be kind even to an insect. See the quality that has been set for us. So we must always remember, we should be very mindful in our behavior. Very humble, submissive behavior should be there with everyone, especially with the devotees. Prabhupada says, 2 things stop our quality chanting. What are the 2 things that stop our progress in bhakti? One is committing sinful activities, and the second is committing offenses. And in that committing offenses, the first offense is blaspheming a devotee who has dedicated their life for propagating the holy names of the Lord. See, the first offense is to blaspheme the devotee. All of you know the 10 offenses. We have to be very cautious about the first offense and the 10th offense. Which is the 10th offense? Not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments in spite of hearing so many instructions in this subject matter. It is also offensive to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard himself against these 10 offenses. So you see, so the last word is very important. We chant this together, right? And then Krishna, actually, in the morning program, every devotee chants one offense. First offense, one devotee will chant. Second offense, another devotee will chant. But when it comes to the last offense, last word, Krishna Prema, everybody chants together. So this is to remind us, this is where our destination, Krishna has, this is our destination. So what are the three things that we discussed that we must remember to improve our quality chanting? There are many three things I said. One is this loud, clear, and hear. This is a very simple, fundamental. And if we are unable to do this, we have to go on endeavoring to do this. This is yoga. The second three things that I mentioned is you have to remember the glorious position of the holy name. So you're inspired always. Second is remember what position you are in right now. And the third is what I should do. That what I should do is this loud, clear, and hear. So chanting is a day in, day out effort. We should. So now we'll hear a story. Of course, all of you know the story, but it's a very, very instructive, one of the most instructive story that Srila Prabhupada talked about, especially about quality chanting. So how many of you heard the story of the snake biting cases in the Lucknow University? Have you all heard? Okay. So this is a real story that Prabhupada narrated on few occasions during his lectures. So there was one friend of Prabhupada, his name was Dr. Ghosh. And he was teaching in a Lucknow Medical University. And you know, medical students, they're all quite accomplished. They consider themselves to be very accomplished because they're studying medicine. To get admission in medicine itself is difficult. And to become a doctor means you're really accomplished. So this Lucknow University, in one hostel building where the students were staying, there were a few snake biting cases. And some students had lost their lives. So it had become a matter of great concern. And they were not able to catch the snake because they were all poisonous snakes. And they were not finding a solution. So then somebody told them, instead of trying the modern methods, which is difficult, why don't you get a snake charmer? Snake charmer knows how to charm the snake and catch it. So they got a snake charmer. During those days, and even now, during my time, I used to see, it was about 40 years back, one snake charmer I'd seen how they were, and you know, they come with a bean bajana. So they got a snake charmer. He was this is generally a profession practiced by Mohammedans. They are the snake charmer. So he came, snake charmer. He's an illiterate person, but he knows this function very well. So he came, and all the medical students surrounded him. They wanted to see how he's going to do it. And he opened his bean and some mantras, like that. And he started playing. And when he was playing with that sound, many snakes that were hiding in the campus, they all came out and they started assembling in that room. So all these medical students were shocked. Wow, what a method. And they all came, many were there. And they were all shocked and, surprised, astonished. And they all came one by one, and he opened his booty, and one by one they entered his booty. How many of you seen this? As myself. And then at the end, he closed it, stopped the plane. Babuji, kaam ho gaya. Sab snap aa gaya. I mean, these people, they couldn't believe it. We are medical students. We couldn't do something, and this illiterate has done it, what we couldn't do. So, they couldn't take it. So they wanted to make a fun of him. So they said, what are you doing, and what did you do, and what is this that you have got? And they tried to ridicule his effort, and they said, no. Actually, I think all the snakes that you have caught are all poisonless snakes. That's why you were not afraid. You did something, they came. But you were not up because fearlessly he did it. So they were all poisonless snakes, I think. So this man, he understood that these students are too proud and they're not believing this and they want to make a fun of me. So what he did, he opened the bag again and let out the snakes again. So all the snakes came out in the open, and then he was not playing and they all started approaching the students, and all students became very afraid again. Then they said, sorry, we are very sorry. Please forgive us. And he said, don't worry, Babuji. As long as I am here, they will not harm you. I am controlling them with my mantra. So Prabhupada told this story and he said, now if the medical students ask this man, okay, I will purchase my mantra can be purchased. What is the mantra? Write it down and give it to me. You have purchased the mantra. So suppose these medical students, they say, okay, now you give me your mantra, your job is done from tomorrow, you don't have to come. If snakes comes, we will chant this mantra and we will catch the snakes. Do you think it will work? It will not work. So now Prabhupada uses three important words. By purchase, actually two words. One, there are three P's. You simply cannot purchase a mantra, means you simply cannot chant a mantra. So the first word Prabhupada uses is, you have to practice chanting properly. So this is one quote of Prabhupada. Chanting is very simple, but there's a big but. You have to practice it seriously. See, we are all talking of chanting, right? We have been discussing for the last 1 hour. It is very simple, isn't it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and repeatedly doing this. So what, is it difficult? But what have we been discussing for the last 45 minutes? We have been talking about how to practice. So this practice of Prabhupada chanting is very simple, but one must practice it seriously. And then another P that Prabhupada uses in the same lecture, he said, for practicing it seriously, there is a process. If you do not follow the process, then the practice will not be serious. You will not be able to attain perfection. So this is the third. If you want to attain perfection, you must practice in a defined standard process. So what is the process? This is the process. Loud, clear here, and whenever the mind is running away, you have to bring it back. Now, somebody can question, Prabhu, this is all too much of a force. You're simply forcing us. So what is the answer? Am I being forceful? It may sound to some, for devotees it will not be, because you all understand the value of it. But how do you answer? Is chanting something that is forced upon us? The answer is yes. Suppose your small baby has fallen sick. Will the baby or anybody like to eat medicine? Or forget about baby. Do you like to eat medicine? Nobody likes to eat medicine. Medicines are bitter. But you're still taking medicine. So something that you don't like, you're agreeing to take. What does it mean? You're forcing the medicine. In a sense, isn't it? You don't like bitter medicine, but you're taking it, means it's being forced. So one time, one devotee asked Prabhupada, my mind is going here and there, and I'm unable to concentrate, and it's such a botheration. Prabhupada says, chant loudly, and you have to force this mantra in your throat. You have to force this Hare Krishna sound inside your ear. So Prabhupada coined this word, yes, even though you don't like it, but you know the value of it and you want it. So it has to be forced. So he says he coined this chanting. So this is how our chant, it should be forced upon us, because the mind is crazy. Just like you see a mad person, he'll be taken to a mental hospital and he'll be forced all kind of thing, isn't it? And Prabhupada gave a very nice example after this, how it is forced chanting. The force is required and the force is a must. Unless you force your mind with this, it will not work. So he gave an example of how a horse is administered medicine. It's an actual example. How many of you have seen horse being administered medicine? See, horse is that way, it's a domestic animal, like it won't bite and it won't, but it's a very strong animal. So how a horse is administered and medicine, Prabhupada says 3 men required to induce a medicine means you just one person can give a medicine to a cow or to any domestic animal. But for a horse, 3 men are required. 2 men are required. One man will hold his upper jaw, another man will hold his lower jaw, and they'll open it by force. And the third person will push in the medicine. That's how a horse is administered medicine. So in the same way, we have to be administered this medicine of the holy name by force. So in other words, this is all talking about, how serious we have to be about our chanting. We cannot be casual about our chanting. Mind is running away. You have to chant loudly, you have to chant clearly, you have to hear attentively. Again, the mind is running away. Again, you have to bring it back. This is how chanting must happen. So I will end. I'll end with this one, and then we can have questions if you have. Rupa Goswami has spoken a very nice verse in the Nectar of Instruction. The Nectar of Instruction is Upadeshamrita. It contains 11 verses. Verse number 7, he very beautifully brings out. This verse is like a summary of chanting. Of what? I was telling 3 things now. What are the 3 things I said? This is 3 thing. And what is the other 3 thing? The glorious position of chanting. Where I am. Where we have to reach, where I am, and what is the process. It's basically Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. What is my relationship with Krishna, what I am, and what I have to do to attain that gap. So all these 3 things. What is the glorious position of chanting? Where I am, and how to achieve it, what I have to do. All these 3 things come out in one verse of Rupa Goswami, and this is verse number 7. So he says, Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapi. Sita means, so Krishna Nama, Krishna Charita, and Adi means Krishna's holy name, Krishna's wonderful qualities, etc. all connected to Krishna are Sita. Sita means sweet like sugar candy. So first thing he says, what wonderful position of the holy name? It's Sita. And then the next line he says, but what is our position? Sita api, but avidya pitto patapta rasanasya narochikanu. Right now, narochikanu, I have no taste for this Sita, for this sweet sugar candy of the holy name. And why I have no taste? Because he says, Sita, pitto patapta. Pitto patapta means pitta uttapta. Pitta means bile. How many of you have had jaundice? If you've had, you can explain. So jaundice is a disease where the bile secretion increases significantly. And when the bile secretion increases significantly, your tongue will lose its natural taste. Why? You taste sugar candy, you take sugarcane juice, you cannot taste. It'll taste bitter. Because the tongue has become bitter because of the too much of secretion of bile juice. Now, what is how will you get rid of this bile secretion? How will you get rid of this jaundice? Sugar candy is tasting bitter, and you will not like to eat anything because every food will taste bitter, especially sweet things will taste bitter. So what is the medicine? The sugar candy itself is the medicine. So pitto patapta rasanasya na rochikanu. There's no taste. Kintu. Now how the taste will come? But again another but. Kintu tva adarad anudinam. Now 2 important A's he says. Adarad means very, very respectfully you have to chant. And how much and when you have to chant respectfully? Anudinam, day and night. Prabhupada writes in the translation and in the synonym, he writes 24 hours a day. See the stress Prabhupada is giving? 24 hours a day he's writing. When you go home, please read that. So, Adarad Anudinam is the way we should chant. This is called quality chant. And then what will happen if you chant Adara Anudinam? So how we chant is here. The third thing, Adara Anudinam, Khalu Saiva Jushta Swadvikramad Bhavati Tad Gadamula Hantri. Meaning, when you chant like this, then the disease, what is the disease that we are having? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, millions of life of contamination, karma, all these diseases will be destroyed. Where will it be destroyed? Now, destroying a disease. Suppose a tree, it's a weed. How many of you have heard about that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's weeds grow along with chanting? You've all read that, right? Suppose weeds are growing. I cut the weeds. It will grow again. So how can the weed stop growing? You have to pull it out from the root. So, Swad Vikramat Gadgada Mula Hantri. Chaitanya, Rupa Goswami is saying, Mula Hantri means from the Mula, from the Jada, from the root, Hantri, it will be destroyed. You know, sometimes we have experienced, sometimes your chanting is very nice. You'll feel little nice, but you go back next day again, fall back. Why? Because the disease is not destroyed from the root. The offenses keep surfacing. So if the disease of the heart has to be uprooted, from the root it has to be uprooted, Adara Anudinam. Respectfully, cautiously, we should be chanting. So this is the method to chant, and there are many instructions, instructive, many wonderful instructions, and request everyone, you should make this as your meditation, as your goal in life, as your sole aim in life, and know that this is Purna, this is complete, this can give you everything. It is Chintamani. You all know the Sanatan Goswami story of the touchstone, how he gave the touchstone, but that was nothing. The real touchstone is the holy name, and try to give up material desires. So Prabhupada says there are many rules and regulations to be followed, but the first is chant attentively. If you start chanting attentively, making an effort to chant attentively, automatically all the rules and regulations following will be simple. Very important that no Vaishnav, Aparad, very nice behavior. You cannot be you will not be able to improve your chanting quality. You will not be able to do good chanting while you are committing offenses. So two very important things, chanting of holy name, quality chanting, we are discussing. But we should be very conscious in our dealings with others. Prabhupada writes in a letter specifically, our dealings with others, you have to be very conscious. Because there the offenses will be happening. And so the offenses will inhibit your progress in chanting. Especially in a devotee, very humble, very submissive, lying low, humble, meek, servant of the servant of the servant. Dasa, dasa, anudasa. How a servant behaves. How would you like your servant in your house to behave? You'll want him to be very humble, no? And now here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying you have to become the servant of the servant of the servant. Prabhupada says in one lecture, 100 times servant. It means how humble we should be. It's not something artificial to be imitated or, oh, I'm very humble. Not something to be imitated or make it artificial. But that should be the. So if we are genuinely interested about improving our chanting, we should follow all these rules and regulations. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah. So those feelings are like the different feelings, 16 bhavanas that he talks about. Yeah, compassion, holy name is so merciful, and holy name of protection, and all these things. So by reading every day, this chanting about the importance of holy name, you will automatically all the feelings, bhavanas are background consciousness. So when you like chanting humbly, chanting submissively, chanting, begging, like we discussed, crying, genuine cry for the holy name, a genuine cry for the mother, begging the holy name. These are all, begging is another one, bhavana, right? So when you read this quote every day, evening, especially if you go to, before going to bed, automatically, because what you sleep with will prevail in your mind next day very naturally. And if every day you're doing the same thing, then automatically, actually, effortlessly, you can develop background consciousness. So background consciousness has been made into a process now. You don't have to worry about it. See how wonderful, good quality reading is? So every day read one bhavana or read this nice quotes of Prabhupada. Simply take Prabhupada books, read and meditate. So one is reading. And if you want to quickly have that bhavana in your mind, you must meditate on that quote, internalize that quote in your mind. So that's why not a big reading in the evening before sleeping. It's going to be, it's a sure short success formula. Just one short quote. Chanting can completely cleanse the core of the heart and save us from the cycle of birth and death. So morning when you're chanting, it's completely cleansed. So how wonderful it is. This is nothing ordinary. I have to beg the holy name. Am I begging? I'm thinking today I'm going to do this, today I'm going to do that, I'm going to tell him this. No begging mood at all. Lord, please give me begging mood. So whole background consciousness actually is very essential for good quality chanting. Because foreground consciousness is this, loud, clear here. Background is automatic, depends on your previous day conditioning of mind. Yeah. So two ways. One is you read the whole, yeah, you have to read and you have to internalize. That is how it can be. So two ways you can do it. One is read the previous day. The second is what you're saying, you're doing it right then and there. You read a bhavna and then you do. So now you need to see and measure, because you see, you should not be putting time in the background consciousness while you are chanting, which should be, the focus should be on the foreground consciousness. Because if you're thinking of the bhavana and that bhavana is interrupting you from this foreground thing, then the chanting is not happening. Because chanting time, loud, clear here has to be happening. So, it all requires a little practice. So it is practice. That's what Prabhu also says, that while keeping this in the foreground, that should be strike. That's why it's called background. Background means automatically it is coming in your mind. So Prabhu has those cue cards. So you have to develop this practice of just probably glancing at it and getting the bhavana. You're understanding now? So this is made easy by reading a quote of Prabhupada or those quotes of what Prabhu has said daily outside your chanting hours. So that chanting hours, the foreground consciousness is. Why specifically Prabhupada mentioned chant 16 rounds? Just like if you go to a doctor when you are sick, he will specifically give you a dose. He'll give you medicine and he'll prescribe the dosage also. You cannot get rid of your particular disease by taking one tablet, two tablet. He'll give an antibiotic for 5 days, 3 tablets, 5 into 3, 15 tablets. Only then you will be cured. In the same way, our disease is very big and it requires the remedy is the chanting. And the chanting also should be taken in the right dose. If you take 1 round, 2 round, the dose is not sufficient to subdue the disease. The dose, minimum dosage is 16 rounds. Actually, the minimum doses Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati time was 16 rounds, 64 rounds. So Prabhupada says, by that measure, we are all fallen. Yeah, because that's a different kind of medicine. Too many, very intelligent question. See, that medicine is bitter. Okay? But this medicine is actually sweet. And when you take this medicine, this disease, see, if you stop that medicine, the disease will again attack. Again, you have to take the medicine. Again, you stop, again, the disease will attack. So we are in this material world and we are having this big enemy in our mind. This mind itself is a big enemy. So this is such a big disease that you have to be continuously taking some medicine. You see, if you ask somebody, they have it is something is called, what do you call that? Perennial disease or something, one term used. Disease for which there are many diseases for which the medicine has to be taken for a lifetime. Chronic disease, correct. Chronic diseases, you have to live with the medicine for a lifetime. Even to cure a bodily disease, you have to take medicine for a lifetime. It is not that you have to stop at a certain time. There are medicines which you have to continue for a lifetime. So similarly, our disease is a huge chronic disease. It's a disease which is coming not from the beginning of the birth. Chronic means right from the beginning. This is coming from the beginning of from time immemorial. So the medicine has to continue. Otherwise, chances of attack is. So I'll end with one verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita. What happens when you chant the holy name? Nama Sankhi, three wonderful things Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions that happens when you chant the holy name step by step. Here. Just like we have Nam Aparat stage, Nam Abhas stage, and Shuddha Nam stage. Quality chanting is Shuddha Nam. So he says, Nama Sankirtana hoite Sarva Anartha Nash. All your anarthas will go away. Next, Sarva Shubhodaya. After all anarthas are destroyed, everything becomes auspicious in your life. And then the final stage, Krishna Premera Ullas. You will be able to experience Krishna Prema. So Nama Sankirtana hoite Sarvanarthanash, Sarva Shubhodaya, and Krishna Premera Ullas. So that is the beautiful quality of the chanting. And we should all chant very, keeping all these wonderful instructions in mind. Actually, I will just take just 5 minutes. I wanted to read out a few quotes of Prabhupada. Is it coming here? Yeah. There are some beautiful quotes of Prabhupada. Coming full screen? Yeah. With this, we will continue. Everything will be achieved by Sankirtana. According to a yogi becomes Sama, Dukkha, Sukha, Swastha, Sama, Loshtashma, Kanchana, Tulya, all these good qualities. You'll become Dukkha, Sukha, Sami, not disturbed by Dukkha, Sukha. You'll be Swastha, you'll be happy, you'll be free from disease. And all this, Tulya, Priya, Apriyo, Dhira, you'll become Dhira, Priya, Apriya, Ninda, all this, Stuti, Ninda, you'll become equipoised. Can it be achieved by Sankirtan, all these things that devotees, that Dr. Sharma is asking? Prabhupada, yes, everything will be achieved by Sankirtan. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Braje. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become liberated from all sinful reactions of life. And he goes back to home, back to Godhead. Mukta Sangha Param Braje. That is the recommendation. So everything will be all right. Everything will be achieved. That yellow one, everything will be achieved. Next, everything will be all right by chanting. What is achieved? All right, everything. Everyone who will come to this Krishna consciousness will become a good man, even he's a bad man. That is the influence of Krishna consciousness. Sarver gunes tatra samasate suraha. All godly qualities will develop in Krishna consciousness. That is the test. Now our students, nobody can compare with their behavior, with their character, with their innocence. Everything nicer. So now here comes the main line. So don't worry. Simply go on chanting. Everything will be all right. Don't worry. Look at the conviction that Prabhupada is giving us. Don't worry twice. Everything will be all right. So everything will be, the first one was, everything will be achieved. Everything will be all right. Everything will come to you automatically by chanting. Only thing is that you simply chant the holy name of the Lord, then everything will come to you automatically. See, look at the conviction that Prabhupada is giving us. Next, simply chant, everything will be manifest to you. If you want to know the value of this movement through science, philosophy, we have got enough ingredients to supply. Otherwise, it is simple, very simple. Simply chant this mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then everything will be manifest. Everything will be achieved. Everything will be all right. Everything will come automatically. It will come to you. Everything will manifest to you. And then the last one, everything will be perfect by chanting Hare Krishna. You remain in your post. Sthane sthitaha shruti-gatam. Through the oral reception, if you hear about Krishna, then you become perfect. That is the statement. So this is required at the present moment, that you remain whatever you are. Either Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Englishman, Indian, it doesn't matter. You try to understand Krishna, that's all right. If you do that, then everything will be perfect, and that can be very easily done by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Krishna Chandra ki, Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Srinivas Govind ki, Shri Prahlad Narsimhadev Bhagwan ki, Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nama Sankirtan ki, Harinam Sankirtan Mahayagna ki. Thank you. Hare Krishna.